Texas A&M got some pretty interesting injury news about one of their top players.
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. I'm your host, Matt Galatzan, publisher of Texas A&M Aggies on SI. Welcome to Locked On Aggies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. I am joined by DJ Burton. And DJ, we got some awesome news about Bryce Anderson. It sounds promising. But it appears that he is heading for a red shirt in the regular season after a very scary injury against Notre Dame early in the year. He had an opportunity to try to return to the field in recent weeks. Didn't really work out too well. He has been out since, and now he is heading for a red shirt, it would appear, according to Mike Elko, this past week, when he said he's still not completely back. I think he's getting really close. I don't think it would be in Bryce's best interest for him to go out and play in one of these two remaining games. The nice thing is that anything beyond these two wouldn't count towards that. I think it would be potentially present an opportunity for him as well as we move forward over these next two. Basically, what that means is that if he doesn't play in these next two games, he can redshirt, which would give him an extra year of eligibility, which for the future of this program going into next year would be massive.
Yeah, definitely. I think not even just for the program itself. I think it would be huge for Bryce Anderson too. You know, he seemed like he was really on track to, you know, if he had a big year this year, he could have been an NFL guy. He is slightly undersized, but if he kept performing the way he has been, he might have been there. And the injury kind of derailed that. And so playing in these next two games would kind of just completely throw the NFL out of the window for him, in my opinion. But another year would just completely, you know, kind of rewrite that book and give him that opportunity again to go out there and perform.
Yeah, he's only 5'10", 186 pounds, but he's a very physical player. He's extremely athletic. He's been one of the team's best defensive backs really since his freshman season. And, you know, in the NFL, at that size, he probably wouldn't play too much safety, I would imagine. At least not strong safety or a safety that gets in the box a whole heck of a lot. But I think he would be an ideal, you know, sort of star nickel position type player in the NFL. I think that he could really excel at that. If he gets that another year of eligibility, that would give him an opportunity to improve that draft stock. But like I said, you know, he's been elite since he has been in College Station. Last season for the Aggies, he had 24 total tackles, 2 pass deflections, and an interception. The year before that, in 2023, he had 55 tackles, 4 pass deflections, 1.5 sacks, a forced fumble, and an interception. And he also had 28 total tackles in 2022. This season, he's only got the 10 tackles. He's only played against UTSA, Utah State, and briefly against Notre Dame. He did have 4 tackles in that Notre Dame game before going down. And that was an extremely scary injury. He hasn't played since. They gave it a go. They tried to get him to get back onto the field, and it just wasn't there. So great news for Bryce Anderson that he could potentially be part of this Texas A&M playoff run. You know, you got Samford this week. Makes absolutely no sense to play him this week. You got Texas the final week of the season. I think you can beat them without Bryce Anderson because you've beaten some pretty good teams, you know, without him already. And Texas just is having a down year. It's going to be in Austin. It's going to be tough. He would be, you know, an asset to have in that football game. But, you know, going into the SEC championship, you could potentially play him there. And at the beginning of your college football playoff run, because you are locked into the college football playoff at this point, you might as well save him for the stretch run and see where you can get on the field. as for how it could affect the secondary, I feel like they've been kind of in a groove recently. They really shut down Matt Zollers. The first half against South Carolina, the 30 points, not a lot of that was through the air. There was some shenanigans. I mean, there was a couple big plays in there, but there was some shenanigans, with field goals and a defensive touchdown and some other things there. I think they held up pretty well. And then in the second half of that game, they just completely shut things down. So they've been all right without him. Obviously, he would be an asset, but they'll be okay over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, that definitely feels like a situation to me where it's like this team is rolling defensively. And I made the argument when he first came off. I almost said IR. But when he first was cleared to come back, I don't know if we necessarily should have plugged him in there because the team was just rolling. They were dominating defensively. And once you get in a groove like that, you just don't want to do anything to mess it up. And even if that means bringing back a player of his caliber. But, going into my X Factor a little bit later on, those guys have been playing. They've been playing well, and they've been a huge reason for A&M's success this year.
Yeah, I mean, since the Notre Dame game, Texas A&M has given up 10 points, 9 points, 17 points, 42 against Arkansas. Whoops. 25 against LSU, 17 against Missouri, and then the 30 against South Carolina, but shut South Carolina out in the second half. So big time stuff from this defense over the last few weeks. You really don't want to mess up that chemistry that they have back there in pass defense by just inserting a guy back into the starting lineup. I do think he'd be a valuable depth piece, however. So that could be a situation where he comes in and has an impact as a depth piece or a rotational piece or something like that. But let's keep Marcus Ratcliffe out there. Let's keep Dalton Brooks out there and see how they handle it over the next couple of weeks against Samford, which I'm sure they'll be fine. And then against Arch Manning in Texas, that's going to be a bit of a challenge because Arch Manning has been really good over the last few weeks. So that'll be a fun game to watch there. But let's change gears here. We're gonna take our first break, and when we come back, we're going to talk national title odds. I know it's a little early, but it's some new odds have been released, and it's worth talking about. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride a hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a bigger shot at a payout. And it keeps everything exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com and sign up today to play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank you for making Locked On Aggies your first listen of the day, by the way. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. DJ, it's time to talk national title odds. BetMGM released some new national championship odds after this past weekend. Ohio State remains at #1 at plus 185. Indiana at #2 at plus 500. And Texas A&M shooting up the boards at plus 700 in third. They were followed by Georgia at plus 1,000, Notre Dame at plus 1,100, Texas Tech at plus 1,400, Alabama and Oregon at plus 1,500, Ole Miss at plus 2,000, and Oklahoma at plus 2,500. If I was a betting man, which I don't bet on college football because I cover it, and that would be unethical, DJ. But if I did, I might bet $100 on the Aggies to win 700. I don't know about you, but it sounds like a pretty good bet to me right now.
Yeah, that's not too bad, but I'd love to look at it and say, I'd love to do it, but that battered Aggie syndrome is in the back of my mind, man. It's telling me to stay away from that, but man, everything in this season has been telling me it's gone. The South Carolina comeback, it went from 0 to 100, and then right back down to 0 again. But yeah, that 700 is looking pretty good. That Georgia plus 1,000 is also looking good.
Yeah, it is. And let's bring up the FanDuel national title odds because we like FanDuel better. They're a sponsor of the show. Ohio State plus 190, Indiana plus 500, A&M plus 750. That's an even better bet for me if you're going to win 750 instead of 700. Notre Dame plus 950, Georgia still plus 1,000, Oregon plus 1,300. Alabama plus 1,500 alongside Texas Tech. Ole Miss plus 1,700, Oklahoma plus 3,000. Here's my question for you, DJ. And I know that, odds are odds, and you're an Aggie yourself. You graduated from Texas A&M, so you're an Aggie, and you have battered Aggie syndrome right now. You're waiting for the inevitable disaster. I don't believe in that personally. I think that Mike Elko has changed the culture. I think that really this team, if they've shown me anything this year, is that they're almost unkillable. They've won games in every situation you can possibly imagine, whether it's a high-scoring shootout with Arkansas or Notre Dame, both of which were on the road, a defensive battle against Auburn. They've dominated a lot of the other SEC competition, and then they were able to come back from seemingly impossible depths against South Carolina. So they've really won in every which way. They've done it running the football. They've done it playing defense. They've done it throwing the football. They've done it on special teams. So my question to you, DJ, out of all the teams that we've listed, Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Notre Dame, Georgia, Oregon, Alabama, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Texas Tech, I mean, you could go into some of the other teams that are on this list, like Utah, Miami, Vanderbilt, USC, Michigan, BYU, Texas, Georgia Tech, North Texas. I mean, you go on down the list. How many teams do you feel can actually win a national championship? Because for my money, there's 3. And I don't really think that you can, maybe 4 if you want to dig kind of deep, but this field is not as deep as I think a lot of people believe it to be.
Yeah, I completely agree. And Tulane coach John Summerall said it best. He said, "We're receiving votes. There must be a lot of bad football out there this year."
Yeah, they got beat by Ole Miss 45-10.
Yeah. Out of the teams that could actually win a national championship, I think there are 4. I genuinely think it's going to be the top 4 on that list. I think it's going to be Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, and Georgia. I think those are the teams that have proven that they can win when the lights are brightest. And I think that, a lot of them have been there before, or at least Ohio State and Georgia have. And then Indiana and A&M have both beat big dogs when, it's time to. So I really think those are the top 4 that have a shot at it.
Yeah, I think it's 3. I think Ohio State is the best team in the country right now, at least the most talented team in the country from top to bottom. They probably have, I don't know, there's 22 starters on a college football team or on any football team. They probably have 20 NFL players. They probably have 11 first-round picks on that team. And I'm not even counting Julian Sayin on that because he's a freshman. So they're really, really good. They can win a national championship. They might go back-to-back. That would be the SEC's worst nightmare if the Big Ten won again. We'll see. I don't think Indiana can win a national title. I think that they got by against an overrated Oregon team. They barely beat Penn State. They barely beat Iowa. And I just think that I don't believe in Indiana at all. Not even a little bit. I think Fernando Mendoza is overrated. I think that if you take their number 1 receiver out, that offense really, really struggles, as Penn State was able to do for a lot of that game. So I don't think they can do it. Georgia and Texas A&M are the only 2 other teams that I think are capable, because what the 3 of those teams, Ohio State, Texas A&M, and Georgia, have in common is they're extremely explosive at the wide receiver position. They're balanced. They can run the football really well. and they're playing elite defense. I know people see the Georgia 35-10 score over Texas and think, oh, Texas is what we thought they were. Arch Manning's a really good quarterback right now. He was doing everything for that team, and they were still able to completely shut them down. They were able to put up a lot of yards and a lot of points against a defense that some people think is elite. I think it has its flaws, but it has been an elite defense for most of the year. They're really, really good, and they're hitting their November Georgia stride. Texas A&M is the only other team that I think is capable of it because they have a Heisman Trophy quarterback. They have 3 or 4, maybe 5 elite running backs. Once Le'Veon Moss gets back into the fold, and he's getting close, they're really explosive at the wide receiver position. They have the best offensive line in the country. They have one of the best pass rushes in the country. They have really good linebacker play. They're really good on the back end. They're really good on special teams. All 3 of those teams play really good complementary football. They play really well in all 3 phases. So that's why I think that those are the 3 teams that can do it. We'll see. If I had to put my money on a national title game right now, it would probably be Ohio State and Texas A&M. I think Ohio State and Georgia are probably going to end up playing each other in the semis, which is why I say that. And I think that it's probably going to be Indiana or Ole Miss versus Texas A&M in the other semi. And then you'll see the winner of those 2 games. I mean, how fun would a Georgia-Texas A&M national title game be? Or Ohio
awesome.
State and Texas A&M.
I mean, A&M and Georgia really haven't played each other since A&M joined the SEC. So I'd love to see that, especially in the national championship. That would be awesome. But Ohio State, Texas A&M would be just as great. I mean, as long as A&M's in it, I'm happy. But yeah, those Buckeyes. That's a team that I'm really intrigued about. I'm interested to see this Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, Texas A&M and Georgia have played precisely 1 time since Texas A&M has joined the SEC. It was in 2019. The Bulldogs won 19-13 in Athens. So I really want to see that matchup. I know they're going to play a lot more going forward over the next couple of years because everybody's going to rotate and start playing everybody else. But that's kind of the matchup I'm hoping for because I really want to lock the Big Ten out of the national title. But it's probably going to end up being Ohio State and Texas A&M because Ohio State's just a really damn good football team, and that's really unfortunate because they are so obnoxious. Also the worst fan base in the country. Anyway, let's change gears a little bit. We are going to get into the game this weekend. There's not much to talk about because it's Samford, and we probably all know what the result is going to be of that football game. Nevertheless, we'll give you our bold predictions and our X factors for that football game, and probably give you a final score prediction, even though that's going to be really hard. So stick with us after this break, and we'll be right back. All right, Texas A&M and Samford this weekend, DJ. As it stands right now, Texas A&M in the matchup predictor for ESPN is 99% to win the football game over the Bulldogs. Bucky McMillan's Samford Bulldogs coming in and trying to pull the biggest upset in college football history. It ain't gonna happen. They're 1-10. This game is in College Station. Obviously, the Aggies are undefeated. I'm trying to find a spread for this game. I haven't seen one. Let me see if I can find one real quick. But I imagine it's
55.5 somewhere earlier.
55.5.
55.5.
Yeah. I'm seeing. Yeah. Okay. So according to Sharp Football Analysis, the spread is 55.5. I might take a Texas A&M to cover that spread. I don't know. It's Samford's really bad. Like, they're an FCS team, but they're also really, really bad. So let's get into our bold predictions, DJ. I'm going to go first. I say Texas A&M covers the 55.5 point spread, and they just run Samford out of the building.
Yeah, that's a good one. I just don't know. I don't know if I'm going to kind of piggyback with mine on there. I'm going to say the Aggies come out swinging, and the starters are done by halftime. So I just don't know if that's going to be attainable. I feel like Coach Mike Elko is a stand-up guy. I feel like he's not going to keep pounding the rock when they don't have to. I just don't know if the A&M fours can get the 55. That's pretty much what I'm saying. I think they're going to put the fours in there. I think it's going to be a whole bunch of guys that haven't seen Kyle Field before, and I just don't know if they get there.
Who's the Texas A&M 12th man in 2025?
I
believe know that?
He has a name that I just cannot say.
Let me look at the roster real quick.
Nana Bodhi-Owusu. He's defensive end.
Okay, he's a defensive end.
Yep.
Nana Bodhi-Owusu. Junior defensive end, 6'1", 246 pounds, out of Arlington Martin. He played in all 13 games last year and made a tackle and was on the 12th man kickoff to start the second half against McNeese State. He made a tackle against Auburn. He had a pair of tackles in the Las Vegas Bowl against USC. He was nominated for the Brotherhood Impact Award at the annual team banquet, and he was named the 12th man during fall camp. All right. Here's another bold prediction from me. The 12th man gets a sack, Rudy style.
Oh,
fans cheer. He gets carried. He gets carried off this. I don't know. But my other bold prediction is the 12th man, Nana Bodhi-Owusu, gets a sack against Samford.
That would be awesome. I'd love to see that. I'm sure plenty of Texas A&M fans would too. And he's just one of those guys. He's been one of the hardest working Aggies there. And I mean, they've been putting out a whole bunch of social media content on this guy over the past year. And just every time he speaks, every time someone's talking about him, you can just tell he's just a genuine guy. So I'd love to see that for him.
Yeah. Do you have any more?
Kind of sticking with defense. I have A&M holds Samford to 7. It'll be a long game. I just don't see the Samford offense getting anything going. They've kind of struggled this year. I just don't think A&M will be, or I don't think Samford will be able to get anything going.
Okay. Final bold prediction from me. Texas A&M gets their first shutout of the year. If they're going to do it, it's going to be against Samford because Samford's really bad, man. I don't know if we have their I'm going to pull up their schedule real quick. The Samford Bulldogs in the 2025 regular season lost to West Georgia 34-3, the Citadel 40-13, Baylor 42-7, Western Carolina 50-35, Furman 31-13, Mercer 45-21. They beat VMI 24-22. Good job by the Bulldogs there. Every other game the remainder of the season, they scored 13, 16, 14, and 16, and they lost by double digits. This thing is going to get ugly. So it's I'm saying 63-0 Texas A&M in this one. But let's get into our X factors real quick, DJ. I don't really know what the X factor could possibly be in this football game, but we'll each give one. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to say the 12th man, Bodhi-Owusu. He's going to be the X factor in the second half. He's going to get the crowd. He's going to get the crowd wild, and he's going to do a couple things in this game that really get a big roar out of the 12th man fans in the second half.
Yeah, I like that one. I think I think we're going to see the 12-man kickoff a lot too. That's going to play a huge part in this game and kind of set that Samford offense up for doom, pinning them back deep, starting them in their own territory. But I have a little bit of a non-traditional X factor. I have the 12th man. I think that it's just going to be too much for Samford to handle. Their stadium seats 6,700 students, or not students, just people. There's not a lot of seats in that stadium. So I think playing in front of, I think A&M will probably pull, over 100,000 for this game. It seems like no matter who they're playing, they've been able to recently. And I think it's just going to be way too much. I think they're going to panic.
Okay. Here's a stat for if you need to know how much Samford struggles to move the football this season. 15 touchdown passes so far this year from the Bulldogs. 14 of them from quarterbacks. They have. We'll count the quarterbacks in this because I don't want to count a running back or a wide receiver throwing a touchdown or an interception. So 14 touchdowns so far this season for Samford through the air. They got 18 interceptions. That ain't good. So I expect the Aggies to get a couple. I don't know about you. Yeah. I expect them to get a couple, maybe force a couple turnovers. Cassius Howell, and at least in the first quarter, if he plays. After that, I don't know. He's going to get a few sacks.
That is scary to think about. Another X factor I had written down was Dalton Brooks. He's kind of stepping into that role that Bryce Anderson left out, and he's been stringing games together. And with the rate that this team throws interceptions, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Also, by the way, 51 sacks Samford has suffered so far this season. That's not very good either.
Kind of hard to win football games like that.
Yeah, now you got to go to the number 3 team in the country. And have you seen The Simpsons at any point, DJ? Have you ever watched The Simpsons?
Yeah, some of them.
This is going to be one of those moments where fans are watching, even for Texas A&M, and they're going to say, "Stop! He's already dead." And I don't know what the Bulldogs are going to do here, but that's going to do it for another episode of Locked On Aggies. Thank you so much for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day. For your second listen, check out Locked On SEC. Chris Gordy breaks down the best conference in college sports, from the rivalries to the championship and every game in between. Find Locked On Aggies on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our podcast, subscribe to our channel. Download our podcast. We're on every major podcast platform. Follow me on X at Matt Galatzan. Follow DJ on X at DJ Burt. And follow us on Texas A&M Aggies on SI, because DJ does some kick-ass work over there for us. But we'll see you tomorrow. And I have no idea what we're going to talk about tomorrow, because I don't know how much we can break down this Samford game. But we're going to find some fun stuff to talk about, so stick with us, and we will see you on Friday.